thread of doubt and fear. Why had the owl chosen him? What did it want from him? Arden felt a surge of uncertainty, a fear that he was not ready for whatever lay ahead.
The owl simply blinked, its gaze intense and unwavering. It offered no answers, no reassurances, only the silent command to find the whispering tree. Arden felt a sense of resolve harden within him. He might not understand why he had been chosen, but he knew he could not ignore the call.
The whispering tree, it repeated, spreading its wings and disappearing into the night. The words echoed in Arden's mind, a haunting refrain that refused to be silenced. He watched as the owl vanished into the darkness, its departure leaving a void that seemed to swallow the very air around him.
Arden was left alone, the silence amplifying the owl's words in his mind. The room felt colder, the shadows deeper. He stood there, staring out into the night, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The weight of the owl's message pressed down on him, a burden he was not sure he was ready to bear, the silence amplifying the owl's words in his mind. Each word echoed, growing louder and more insistent. Arden felt a sense of urgency, a need to act. The owl's message was clear, and he knew he could not ignore it. He had to find the whispering tree, whatever it was, wherever it might be. He couldn't ignore the call. It was a summons that resonated deep within him, a call to adventure and discovery. Arden felt a spark of determination ignite within him. He might not know what lay ahead, but he knew he had to follow the path that had been laid before him. The owl's message resonated within him, igniting a spark of curiosity and a sense of responsibility he had never felt before. It was as if a new world had opened up before him, a world of possibilities and mysteries waiting to be explored. Arden felt a sense of purpose, a feeling that he was to embrace the destiny that awaited him. Arden found himself drawn to the heart of the forest. He listened intently. The forest spoke to him. The rustling leaves whispered secrets. The babbling brook sang a song of warning. The animals no longer seemed like strangers. He understood their language. A deer approached him, its eyes wide with concern.
The forest is dying, it murmured, its voice soft as moss. The king's greed knows no bounds. He has angered the spirits.
Arden listened, his heart heavy with their sorrow. The forest, once vibrant and alive, now seemed shrouded in a palpable sadness.
Only the Council of Beasts can help us now, it yipped.
It was a perilous journey, fraught with danger. Arden knew he had to reach them. He pressed on, his resolve hardening with every step. He was no longer just a farmer's son. He was a bridge between two worlds, a voice for the voiceless. He had to succeed. The fate of the kingdom, of the animals, depended on him. The kingdom was once prosperous and joyful. Its fields were lush, and its villages thrived with the laughter of children and the bustling of markets. The rivers flowed with crystal-clear water, and the forests were teeming with life. It was a land blessed with abundance and harmony. Now a dark cloud hung over the land. Crops withered, rivers ran dry. The once vibrant fields turned into barren wastelands, and the forests grew silent as the animals disappeared. The air was thick with despair, and the people could only watch helplessly as their world crumbled around them. The king, obsessed with wealth and power, had made a terrible pact. In his greed, he traded the kingdom's magic for gold, believing it would bring him eternal glory. But the gold brought only misery. The magic that once sustained the land was gone, and with it, the kingdom's prosperity. He had traded the kingdom's magic for gold. The consequences were devastating. The land grew barren, animals fell ill, people suffered. The once joyous songs of the villagers were replaced by cries of hunger and sorrow. The kingdom was on the brink of collapse, and hope seemed like a distant memory. Arden witnessed the despair in his village. He saw the once lively streets now empty and silent. The fields where he used to play were now dry and cracked. The weight of the kingdom's suffering was heavy on his young shoulders. He saw the fear in his parents' eyes. They tried to hide their worry, but Arden could see the anxiety etched on their faces. They spoke in hushed tones about the king's greed and the dark times that had befallen the land. Arden knew he had to do something to save his family and his home. He knew he had to act fast. With a heart full of determination, he packed his bag and prepared for a journey that would take him far from the safety of his village. He had heard the legends of the Whispering Tree and the ancient magic it held. It was his only hope. The owl's words echoed in his mind, "Find the Whispering Tree." He knew the legends. The wise owl had spoken of a tree that held the power to restore balance to the land. It was said to be hidden deep within the heart of the forest, guarded by ancient magic and powerful creatures. The Whispering Tree was said to stand at the heart of the forest, a beacon of ancient magic. Its branches reached towards the sky, and its roots dug deep into the earth, connecting the land to the very essence of magic itself. Arden knew that finding the tree was his only chance to save the kingdom. It was the only path to the Council of Beasts. The Council, a gathering of the most powerful creatures in the land, held the knowledge and magic needed to restore the kingdom. But reaching them would not be easy. The path was treacherous, filled with dangers that would test Arden's courage and resolve. His journey would be fraught with danger. He would have to cross treacherous mountains and navigate shadowy forests. The path was filled with perilous obstacles, from steep cliffs to dark enchanted woods where shadows seemed to come alive. But Arden was determined. He would have to cross treacherous mountains and navigate shadowy forests. But Arden was determined. He knew that the fate of the kingdom rested on his shoulders. Failure was not an option. He had to be brave, for the sake of his family and everyone he loved. Failure was not an option. The weight of the kingdom's future was a heavy burden, but Arden's resolve was unshakable. He would face any challenge, overcome any obstacle to bring hope back to his people. The fate of the kingdom rested on his shoulders. He felt the weight of his responsibility, but he also felt a spark of hope. He believed in the legends, in the power of the Whispering Tree, and in his own ability to make a difference. He would restore balance to the land. He envisioned the fields turning green again, the rivers flowing, and the forests coming back to life. He imagined the joy returning to the faces of his people. This vision gave him strength and purpose. He would be their voice. The animals, the trees, the very land itself, they all needed someone to speak for them, to fight for their survival. Arden would be that voice, the champion of the kingdom's forgotten magic. He would be their hope. With a heart full of determination and a spirit unyielding, Arden set forth on his journey. The road ahead was long and filled with uncertainty, but he carried with him the hope of an entire kingdom. He would not fail. He could not fail. The future of the kingdom depended on him. After days of perilous travel, through dense forests and across treacherous mountains, Arden's journey had been long and arduous. Each step was a testament to his determination and resolve. Guided by the whispers of the wind and the stars, Arden found it. The Whispering Tree. It was a place spoken of in legends, a beacon of hope for those who sought the truth. It stood on an island, bathed in ethereal light. The tree's presence was almost otherworldly, its glow illuminating the surrounding darkness. Its leaves shimmered with an otherworldly glow, casting a mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. Each leaf seemed to whisper secrets to those who would listen. Whispering secrets to the wind, the tree seemed alive, its branches swaying gently as if in conversation with the elements. He felt a surge of hope. He was not alone. The tree's presence was a reminder that there was still magic in the world, still forces that worked for good.
Gathered around the tree were the animals of the forest. Majestic stags, cunning foxes, soaring eagles, all had come together in a rare display of unity. It was a sight to behold, a testament to the power of nature. All had answered the call of the Whispering Tree, a call that transcended species and spoke to the very essence of life itself. They were the Council of Beasts, guardians of the balance. Each animal represented a different aspect of the natural world, and together they formed a powerful alliance. They turned their wise eyes upon me, their gazes filled with a mixture of curiosity and hope. It was as if they could see into my very soul, understanding the weight of my journey.
Arden told them everything. He spoke of the king's greed, the suffering of the land, and the pact that had brought them to the brink of ruin. His voice trembled with emotion as he recounted the hardships faced by both humans and animals alike. He spoke of the king's greed, the suffering of the land, and the pact that had brought them to the brink of ruin. The animals listened intently, their expressions grave. They understood the gravity of the situation. The animals listened intently, their expressions grave. They knew that the balance of their world was at stake, and that action needed to be taken.
The king has upset the balance. His actions have caused untold suffering.
Boomed a voice as deep as thunder. The very air seemed to vibrate with the power of the words. A gigantic bear lumbered forward, its presence radiated power. This was Ursa, the leader of the council. His eyes were filled with wisdom and strength. This was Ursa, the leader of the council. His presence commanded respect, and the other animals looked to him for guidance.
He has forgotten that we are all connected. The king's actions have severed the bond that unites us all. He has forgotten the ancient pact between humans and nature, a pact that has kept our worlds in harmony for generations.
Arden listened, his heart pounding. The weight of the responsibility he felt was immense, but he knew he had to act. He knew what he had to do. He had to be the bridge between the two worlds, the voice of reason in a time of chaos. He had to convince the king to break the pact, to see the error of his ways and restore the balance that had been lost. He had to remind him of the bond between their worlds, a bond that, if restored, could bring peace and prosperity to both humans and animals alike. The king sat on his throne of gold, a shadow of his former self. He was surrounded by riches but consumed by fear. His eyes were hollow, his face etched with worry. The gold he craved had brought him nothing but misery. The land was dying, his people were suffering, yet he clung to his greed. He refused to acknowledge his folly. He had forgotten the true meaning of prosperity. He had forgotten the importance of balance. News of Arden's journey to the Whispering Tree reached the castle. The king scoffed. He dismissed Arden as a foolish boy, a dreamer. He refused to believe in the power of the Council of Beasts. He had forgotten the old ways. He had forgotten the interconnectedness of all things. He had forgotten the magic that pulsed through the very veins of the kingdom. His heart had hardened. His spirit had withered.